I'm pretty sure because you're a felon, you can't get things in your name. Okay? All right? I know that you're a convicted felon. You probably can't get stuff in your name, but I'll help you. All right? I want you to get your own place with you and your baby. You chill out for a minute. I don't know if that boy wanted you to sit down and be a stay-at-home mom for a minute and, so you can start progressing or what. But they say you making a good bag over there on Snapchat, or whatever it is. You should be able to chill out and just focus. Because we don't want you to go back to jail. All right?
When motherhood meets mayhem and the cameras won't stop rolling, reality hits harder than any viral moment. Tia Kemp just sounded the alarm on Chrisean Rock, not for clout, but for the sake of a child. What happens when tough love goes public, and a baby's well-being is on the line? The tea is boiling, and this time, it's about more than just beef, it's about responsibility. Tia Kemp has officially had enough and isn't holding back any longer after staying silent for too long. She took a bold step by calling Child Protective Services on Chrisean Rock, claiming she's unfit to raise her son. This explosive move comes in the aftermath of a deeply personal and traumatic situation involving Tia's own son, who was reportedly stabbed in a recent incident. The most shocking twist: Chrisean allegedly blamed the victim Tia's son for the violence and even confronted him physically in a confrontation that witnesses say turned volatile. That was the tipping point. For Tia, who's known for her raw honesty and protective nature when it comes to family, that moment shattered any patience or restraint she might have had left. Instead of handling things quietly behind the scenes, Tia clapped back publicly. She unleashed a fiery, unapologetic response across her social media platforms, directly addressing Chrisean and warning her and the world that she was done watching recklessness go unchecked. Tia described Chrisean's behavior as not just immature but dangerous, especially now that there's a baby involved. The message was clear. She's not here for social media theatrics. She's here to protect her own and to speak truth, whether it's popular or not. And fans, they're riding with her. Comment sections across platforms lit up with support, with many people saying it's about time someone with real experience and credibility stepped in and drew a hard line. Known for her street credibility and her nonsense approach to life, Tia Kemp isn't just venting her frustrations, she's making calculated moves, and she's taking action where others have simply shaken their heads. She made it clear that no amount of celebrity, sympathy, or followers will make her stay silent when a child's well-being is on the line. In her eyes, it's no longer about who's right or wrong. In a food, it's about making sure that little boy grows up in a safe, stable environment as the drama unfolds. One thing's becoming increasingly certain: Tia Kemp isn't just speaking up, she's leading a charge for accountability. And whether Chrisean likes it or not, this might be the wake-up call she never expected. Her fan base, once fiercely loyal, is now splintered. Some still defend her, saying she's overwhelmed and learning, but many more have shifted their stance, voicing serious concern about her decision-making and priorities. Chrisean Rock just poked a sleeping giant. And now that CPS has reportedly shown up and started asking questions, the internet is watching like it's the next episode of a reality TV saga. But the difference this time, it's not just entertainment anymore, it's real life, with real consequences. For a while, folks had been whispering that Chrisean needed to be reined in, that someone had to step up and say, enough is enough. Tia saw the signs early and decided to be that someone. And while some critics argue she went too far by involving the authorities, others believe it was a necessary move for the sake of the child. The sad truth is, Chrisean's spiraling behavior, frequent outbursts, her erratic social media posts, her ongoing feuds, and finger-pointing are no longer getting her sympathy. People are tired. What once seemed like a young woman caught in a toxic relationship is now being seen as someone who refuses to take accountability. Even when her child's future hangs in the balance, her public meltdown over being kicked out by Blue lost impact once he dropped video footage of the home she allegedly trashed, crib overturned, bottles spilled, total disarray. Suddenly, that victim narrative felt hollow. She tried to shift the blame back onto him, like she always does. But this time, the audience wasn't so eager to believe it. Even fans who had previously ridden hard for her began asking tough questions. Where is the support system? Where are the grown-ups in the room? And most importantly, where is Junior in all of this? Her parenting, once shielded under the young mom excuse, is now under intense scrutiny. Sure, she posts her son on Instagram, stories, cuddling or laughing, but where are the pediatrician visits, the speech therapy check-ins, the evidence that she's doing the behind-the-scenes work required to raise a healthy, emotionally balanced child? Too often, it looks like Junior is being paraded around as a prop, not protected as a priority. The internet's tone has shifted. People aren't interested in excuses anymore. They want growth. They want change. Because the drama, once entertaining, is now just sad. And as her circle gets smaller and the cameras keep rolling, the question isn't whether Chrisean can keep going viral, it's whether she can finally grow up and put her son first. Because at the end of the day, Instagram likes don't raise children. Clout doesn't provide structure. And followers don't wipe tears or offer stability. Tia Kemp may have made a controversial move by involving CPS, but in doing so, she exposed a bigger truth, that too many people watched the train wreck without sounding the alarm. Now the alarm has been sounded, and the world is watching. Fans aren't trying to tear Chrisean Rock down, there, just demanding better, especially when it comes to her son. When your name's constantly trending, but your priorities seem misaligned, people are bound to speak up. It's not about being perfect, it's about showing real effort, particularly for a child who may need extra care. While a few supporters still defend her, claiming she's just keeping things private, it's hard to buy that from someone who shared every detail of her pregnancy, delivery, and newborn stage online. The sudden silence on Junior's development feels less like privacy and more like damage control, especially now that she's back to posting him casually while denying anything's wrong. Saying he walks and talks but just not on camera, left fans confused and concerned, questioning if she's gaslighting the same audience that supported her from day one. More troubling, rumors are spreading that she's so consumed with drama, mainly fighting with Blueface, that Junior is being neglected altogether. And things hit a breaking point when Twitch banned her for allegedly leaving her son in the car for hours while she live-streamed, forcing employees to intervene. That moment turned concern into outrage, as fans demanded to know how she had time for online clout but not basic safety. With Twitch pulling the plug, it seems the internet's patience has finally run out, and now, real-world consequences are catching up fast. At this point, it's becoming increasingly difficult, almost impossible for anyone to defend Chrisean Rock or pretend she doesn't know better. What once may have been excused as youthful chaos, impulsive behavior, or the consequences of a toxic relationship has now crossed a line that even her most loyal supporters are struggling to rationalize. The tipping point? That viral phone call with Blueface that spread across social media like wildfire. In the call, Blueface repeatedly urged her, pleaded with her to go check on their baby boy, Junior, who was reportedly left unattended in a car. Instead of responding with urgency, concern, or even basic maternal instinct, Chrisean seemed locked in a cloud of detachment, casually chatting like nothing mattered. She laughed, she changed the subject, and she appeared more focused on the entertainment value of the moment than the well-being of her child. For many, it was a deeply unsettling glimpse into where her priorities lie. The internet was stunned not just by her response, but by what came next. Reports surfaced claiming that Twitch employees, not Chrisean herself, were the ones who ultimately stepped in to rescue the baby. They allegedly found Junior alone in a car for hours while Chris live-streamed inside, more concerned with content creation than child care. If that's true, and the evidence, including timestamps and employee testimonies, strongly suggests it is, then this situation isn't just sad, it's dangerous. And it sparked an online firestorm that hasn't cooled down since. People who once gave Chrisean the benefit of the doubt finally reached their breaking point. It wasn't about drama anymore. It was about a baby caught in a dangerous pattern of negligence. That's why when Tia Kemp, the outspoken mother of rapper Rick Ross and a woman who has had her own complicated, public parenting journey, spoke out, it struck a chord. T.I. didn't come from a place of hate. She didn't roast Chrisean for clicks or exploit the situation for clout. She came with truth, raw honesty, and concern delivered in a way only a mother who's been through the fire can. Tia made it clear that this wasn't about fame or beef, it was about Junior. She urged Chrisean to take a long, hard look at her choices and to start putting her child before the camera, before the lifestyle, before the drama. This ain't no joke, Tia said, warning that children grow up fast and the trauma they endure now becomes the pain they carry for life. She reminded Chrisean that being a mom isn't about posting cute pictures or saying the right things on IG Live, it's about sacrifice, protection, and showing up even when it's hard. But instead of taking the advice to heart, Chrisean responded with venom. She clapped back at Tia, not with reflection or maturity, but with petty jabs and dismissive shade. She dragged up Tia's past, threw out personal insults, and turned what could have been a moment of growth into yet another public meltdown. And in doing so, she proved exactly what so many have feared, that she's more invested in defending her ego than defending her child. The irony of it all. Tia was actually gentle, more so than many others online who've called Chrisean everything from unfit to irresponsible. Tia tried to help, not humiliate, but Chrisean, perhaps blinded by pride or too deep in her own chaos, missed the entire point. The backlash was swift, and it wasn't just strangers chiming in. Even Blueface's own mother, Carissa, who has had her own complicated history with her son and with Chrisean, publicly weighed in. She supported Ti's message, echoing her concerns and reminding Chrisean that when you live your life in front of millions, you invite public opinion, especially when your actions involve a child. Carissa noted that people aren't just hating or judging for no reason. They're responding to what they see, and what they've seen lately, from that infamous video of Chrisean struggling to change a diaper to her multiple viral outburst is a young woman in crisis who refuses accountability. Carissa's comments added weight to what many others have already been saying. This isn't about canceling Chrisean, it's about trying to shake her awake before something irreversible happens. The bottom line is this: Tia wasn't judging. She was warning. She was trying to extend a lifeline, one rooted in experience, concern, and maternal instinct. But instead of growing from it, instead of pausing to self-reflect, Chrisean lashed out. And that reaction, that instinct to defend herself instead of defend her child, spoke volumes. It wasn't just another celebrity spat or social media feud. It was a missed opportunity to pivot, to grow, to start over for the sake of her son. And for many, it reinforced the growing concern that Junior is being raised in an environment where instability is the norm and accountability is absent. People are tired of the excuses, tired of watching the same cycle play out: public missteps followed by emotional apologies, vague promises to do better, and then more of the same. What's even more disheartening is the normalization of dysfunction, where fans cheer on the drama while a baby is caught in the crossfire. This isn't a storyline, it's a child's life. And whether Chrisean wants to accept it or not, every decision she makes now will shape who Junior becomes. This is more than just messy moments caught on camera. It's a young mother squandering the most important role she'll ever have. And yes, motherhood is hard, especially under the microscope of fame, especially when you're young and have grown up with your own wounds. No one expects perfection, but people do expect effort, humility, and a willingness to grow. That's what Tia was asking for: not perfection, but presence; not judgment, but transformation. Because being a mom doesn't mean getting it right all the time. It means trying, learning, asking for help when needed, and putting your child's needs before your own pride. There's still time for Chrisean to change the narrative, to take a step back from the circus, seek support, and focus on healing for herself and for her son. But that window won't stay open forever. People are watching, not because they hate her, but because they see the stakes. They see a child who deserves better. And they see a mother who, despite all her flaws and failures, still has the chance to do right by him if she chooses to. Until then, public concern will continue. And the noise won't quiet down just because Chrisean wants it to. If anything, it'll get louder, because when a child's well-being is at risk, people don't look away, they speak up. Just like Tia did. Just like so many others are now doing. The question is, will Chrisean finally listen? Or will this, too, become just another chapter in a tragic story that didn't have to end this way? Only time will tell. What started as an auntie dropping real advice to her niece turned into another viral meltdown, but this time, Tia Kemp didn't just talk, she acted, and it sent shockwaves across the internet. Word on the street hand, not just gossip, but serious chatter backed by insiders, is that Tia actually contacted Child Protective Services (CPS) on Chrisean Rock, claiming that she's unfit to raise her baby boy, Junior. And unlike past situations where Chrisean's fanbase came rushing to her defense, flooding comments with "leave her alone" or "she's still learning," this time, the energy was different. Even some of her most vocal supporters were quiet, unsure of what to say. Because deep down, a lot of people were already thinking the same thing. That maybe, just maybe, this wasn't hate, it was truth. Hard truth. Let's be real. For months now, the internet has watched a slow-motion train wreck unfold. We've seen Chrisean cry on live, fight security, storm stages, curse out interviewers, and air out her trauma in front of millions, all while trying to raise an infant. It's been chaotic, messy, and at times, downright painful to watch. But what started as drama eventually turned into genuine concern. People began asking, "Where's the baby? And is Junior okay?" After live streams showed her getting into screaming matches while holding him, or visibly distracted during moments where a new mother's focus should be solely on her child. And when that now infamous clip of her on the phone with Blueface dropped, where he repeatedly asked her to check on their son, who was allegedly left alone in a car, and she casually brushed it off like she was chatting about lunch plans, that was the moment the tide turned. Suddenly, people weren't amused. They weren't calling her relatable or raw anymore, they were calling her reckless. The fact that Twitch employees reportedly had to step in and remove the child from a car she left him in while live streaming inside a building. That pushed everything over the edge. It no longer felt like harmless internet content, it felt like neglect, broadcast in real time. That's when Tia Kemp, who's had her fair share of internet battles but always keeps it 10 toes down when it comes to family and parenting, stepped in. And Tia didn't come with shade this time. She came with fire and action. Sources close to the situation say Tia wasn't just venting on Instagram. She allegedly contacted CPS, citing concerns for Junior's safety based on what she and the world have been witnessing. Her claim that Chrisean is not currently stable enough to care for her child properly, and that if someone didn't step in now, something tragic could happen later. Tia made it clear that she wasn't trying to be malicious. In her words, this wasn't about clout or beef, it was about protecting a baby who didn't ask to be born into this chaos.
I can call you later so you can do what you gotta do.
No, you don't gotta call me later. I just don't want to argue. You can stay on the phone.
I guess you're busy, so I'm gonna call you later.
Huh? I'm not busy at all.
Yeah, I guess you're busy, so I'm gonna call you later.
I'm not.
Not even busy.
Okay.
Babe,
You're busy right now.
no, I'm not busy
I
at all.
gotta
I'm
call
not
you later so
busy.
you can
I'm
do
not
this.
busy. I'm about to put a baby in the car. Is that okay? Do you mind taking him to the car? Thank you.
Do you mind taking them to the car?
And honestly, a lot of people agreed. Comment sections, Twitter threads, Reddit discussions, all of them lit up with takes from fans and critics alike, who finally said what many had been holding back for fear of being labeled haters, that Chrisean's behavior has gone from concerning to dangerous. The leniency and grace she once got as a young woman in a toxic relationship seemed to be wearing thin. Sympathy has limits, and the moment a child's safety enters the picture, those limits shrink fast. Some fans began pointing out the blatant double standards, how Chrisean drags Blueface every other week for being an absent father, while ignoring the fact that she, too, has made questionable parenting decisions in full public view. The same fans who once said, "She's doing the best she can," now started asking, "But is it really her best?" After all, this is the same person who's brought her child into strip clubs, had him present during violent altercations, and continues to overshare personal parenting struggles on platforms designed for entertainment, not healing. And it's not just about her being messy, it's about patterns. Because when someone curses out their baby's father on live, rants when strangers offer advice, and drags their infant into online battles but won't drag them into a pediatrician's office for consistent checkups, that's not content, that's a crisis. And fans are no longer laughing. The internet doesn't forget, and receipts are everywhere from the diaper incident, where she admitted she didn't know how to change her child properly, to her saying she left Junior with people she barely knew just to clear her mind. While postpartum struggles are very real and deserving of compassion, they don't erase the responsibility that comes with being a parent, especially when the world is watching, and your every move becomes part of your child's digital legacy. So, now, with CPS allegedly involved, the real question becomes, was Tia Kemp out of line? Or was this the wake-up call Chrisean desperately needed but refused to hear from anyone else? And honestly, that question's been stirring a massive divide. On one side, people argue that Tia violated a sacred code, that families should handle these things privately, not through state involvement. But on the other side, many are applauding Tia for doing what too many bystanders don't, taking action instead of watching from the sidelines. Because at some point, someone has to care more about the child than about feelings, pride, or internet optics. Let's not forget, Tia Kemp isn't new to this. She's been through her own very public battles as a single mom, and while she's no saint, she's raised kids in the spotlight, made mistakes, learned lessons, and always made it clear that children come first. That's the spirit she brought into this moment, tough love, and whether Chrisean receives it or not may ultimately determine what kind of mother she becomes, moving forward. People are tired of watching talented, beautiful women throw their lives and their kids' lives into disarray for likes and views. It's not just about Chrisean's image anymore. It's about a baby who didn't ask for fame, chaos, or dysfunction. He deserves peace. He deserves safety. He deserves a mother who can recognize when she needs help and is strong enough to ask for it. And maybe, just maybe, Ti's call to CPS wasn't betrayal, it was love in its most inconvenient form. So where do we go from here? That's up to Chrisean. Will she continue lashing out at people who try to hold her accountable? Or will she finally pause, reflect, and take the steps necessary to give Junior the foundation he needs? Because this isn't about canceling Chrisean, it's about saving Junior, and that's a cause worth standing up for. Let me know in the comments, was Tia Kemp out of line? Or was she just the only one bold enough to do what needed to be done? Hit that like button, subscribe, and sound off below, because this conversation is far from over. Stay sharp, my stars and hushers.